G'day guys, so today we are talking about the dumbbell bicep curl. One of, or if not, the king of good old-fashioned bicep building exercises. There are a few little tricks and tips at play with doing such a basic movement. Who would have thought that elbow flexion, bringing this point of your arm to this point of your arm, would be so technical? However, we do want to set this up really well in order to make these biceps do all the work. Now, what we find a great deal within the gym community is obviously everyone wants to be looking like they're really strong through their biceps, and they start to do little things in order to cheat. So they start to create momentum by swinging. They may only do half reps, all sorts of little variations that over a period of time are going to actually lead to a lack of gains rather than actually giving you the great amount of gains that we're after. Remember, stimulus accumulated over a period of time will result in hypertrophy gains. So we want to generate as much stimulus on that muscle as possible. If we only create 85% stimulus versus, say, 95% stimulus over a period of time, we're going to be a 10% lesser athlete than the person who created 95% stimulus on that particular muscle. Okay, so what do we know about the biceps? Biceps go over two joints. They insert down here and they originate up and over the shoulder. Now, why is that important to us? Well, we know that any muscle that goes over two joints can't contract really well at the second furthest joint than it can if the first joint is in play. So what I'm referring to is if you actually lift your knee up as high, or you lift up your knee as high as you possibly can and then try and straighten it, you can't. Okay, so what I want you to think about with this is that we're just going to mimic this process, so that if I start coming up like this, we're not going to get the greatest contraction through our bicep. Okay, so how can we control that? Well, with the seated dumbbell press, we can create stability using the bench. So what I want you to do whenever you're doing a dumbbell curl is we're actually going to sit back and relax, pull our shoulder blades back and down, and let our arms dangle. Now, from this position, these biceps can be very exposed to greater stimulus. What else do we need to think about when we do your bicep curl though? One of these things is line of pull. So what I mean by line of pull is if I'm curling up and down, I want to make sure that my wrist joint, my elbow joint and my shoulder joint are all in a nice straight line. Okay, where people can get themselves in strife is that they'll come up and they'll come out like this or inside like that, and that can create all sorts of elbow issues. Now, people are like, oh Rick, you know, I've heard that if I slightly rotate at the top, I'm going to work the outer portion of my bicep. Now, there is articles to suggest that's true, but you want to be doing that slight rotation at the top of the lift, okay? So almost as if it's two motions rather than coming up, coming right out like this, because you can now see that my wrist, my elbow and my shoulder are not in a line. Okay, so again, coming up and then a slight turn rather than coming up and out, okay? So, that being said, we can create more stability by jamming these elbows into our sides and letting our arms hang, and we're going to come up nice and straight like so. So let's go through this process as we would. So let our arms dangle, pull our shoulder blades back and down, and allow these arms to hang. From this position here, I'm going to make sure that my elbows are jamming in nice and tight, that my hands are going to run to my shoulders, and we're coming up and down like so. Now, you can see that I'm doing that slight little turn and variation at the top, just to get that slight little bit more contraction, okay? And this, team, is how you want to be going about doing your dumbbell curls. Now, this is where we can start to find some fatigue and we can start to lose our shoulders, okay? Which then we start maybe doing half reps, or we might start losing our shoulders and start really raking them up. We want to make sure that we're keeping these down, and all we're doing is just contracting those biceps until they burn right out. And that there, team, is how you want to go about doing your dumbbell seated bicep curls.